Over the past decade, PC gaming has gotten more and more popular. For some, it's the definitive way to enjoy some of their favorite games. So for someone who looks at PC gaming and thinks, I want to try this out, what should they do? They could always go out to the local Walmart and buy a pre-built, but those often cheap out on certain components with a huge premium that just makes it really not worth it in the end. Would you trust anyone who looked like this? The general consensus among many is to build your own PC. There are tons of build guides and tutorials on how to get one up and running, but there's one tutorial that still lives in infamy to this day. It's the Verge PC build, you read the title. I'd list off everything he did wrong, but honestly, this video's been beaten to death more than H3 and Keemstar, so I'll link a supercut of a bunch of PC builders reacting to it. But recently, I started wondering, whatever happened to the guy who built the PC after the initial wave of criticism died down? Our story starts 2 years ago, after the initial release of the video. At the time, The Verge ended up copyright striking 2 YouTubers, Bitwit and ReviewTech USA. People came out in support of them, calling out The Verge, and they later retracted them. I know this doesn't really have to do anything with the host himself, but it shows that even The Verge themselves weren't doing anything to help the bad faith towards this video. But a little bit after the video's release, Stefan released tweets throughout the next couple of days basically defending the video and mocking people who called it out. Imagine you're so bored that you troll on someone else's profile. Damn, having no life must suck. Oh well. Toxic YouTube comments, tongue sticking out face. Aw man, the internet. Crying laughing emoji. If PC building fans showed the same concern about excess thermal pace as they did about toxic gaming communities, like I've said before, wasn't allowed to reshoot, the pace was cleaned up, RAM in correct slot, PSU facing correct direction. Obviously this PC works. These tweets show him basically saying, ha, I'm not even gonna pay attention to these hate comments and tweets, while simultaneously giving attention to the hate comments and tweets. I have no better words for this than this image. Tying right back into that last sentiment, he started a Twitch stream with a friend of his where this was said.
I work for a big publication. Basically, I made a PC video and some very angry nerds are very angry with how I built the computer, but it still works, so...
Oh, so you're just getting hated on because they're like, oh, well, if you would have plugged it in here, it would have saved some,
That's exactly what they're doing. And I mean, like, everything that they mentioned was corrected after the fact as well, but, like, it's not my first computer and, you know, it still works. It's a better computer than probably what most of them have.
So he tried to play off most of the criticisms as subjective. I prepared a list of criticisms that I think are semi-objective. Like not, oh, I think it's stupid that you open all the boxes, or, oh, why don't you have a proper screwdriver? Things that would cause genuine problems with the PC. First of all, there's $2,000 being misspent. I've seen 8700K builds with a 1080 Ti for less money than this guy spent on this. On top of that, he bought some pretty slow RAM. And look at how much that RAM costed him. On top of that, he didn't cable manage the case anyway, so what was the point of buying a modular power supply? Then there's RAM being placed in the wrong slots. The problem with this is that you are literally missing out on free performance. Like, there's no reason that you shouldn't have them in the right slots. This guy did some testing with a CPU of the same generation, and look at the results. No NVMe standoff. You are literally bending its PCB. I don't know about you, but I don't think that's necessarily good for it. Power supply being installed the wrong way. That poor power supply is being constricted for fresh air. And one day you're gonna be playing some League of Legends and you're just gonna hear, and the screen goes black. Way too much thermal paste. Again, this is meant to be a guide. So if someone puts on way too much thermal paste, just like you're doing, there's always a possibility that some paste can get into the socket and short out some pins. Then there's just mounting the radiator and fans completely wrong. I don't even have much to say on this one. There was also another Twitch livestream highlight that just makes no sense.
When you have a bunch of people who don't really play PC games or know that much about PCs, asking to have you film something and build it on camera, and then telling you have 10 minutes to do it, you're sort of like,
There is absolutely no way he built that in 10 minutes. I've upgraded pre-builts for friends on an extremely tight budget, and it took at least 15 with most of the components already inside. Hell, Linus Tech Tips did an entire POV PC with cuts, and it took 30. Considering how you see you struggle and overcomplicate some parts, I'm willing to bet that the raw recording was at least 40 minutes. On top of that, the video is over 10 minutes long, and I know for a fact you didn't use all 10 minutes of that footage. And then there's this lovely statement.
do I do this the way that I always do it at home and properly and whatever? Or do I do this in a way that can sort of get the point across? Now, preferably, I would always go with accuracy. That's just like my thing. I prefer accuracy. But I wasn't given the creative freedom in that stance, or rather in that take. And once I realized I had made those mistakes in that take, and I told him, hey, you know, like, if we're gonna put this out there, I'd like to do a rebuild because I know exactly what I did wrong, and for accuracy. And it was pretty much end of a day. People want to go home.
None of the big mistakes you made were time sensitive at all. Putting the RAM in the correct slots is something that anyone, even against the timer, could get right. And you even say yourself,
it's good, essentially PC building practice to have a little bit extra and layer it on top of the CPU.
So what is he trying to say? Is he trying to claim that he did everything right and the people who are mad are just angry nerds? Or that the Verge screwed him over and it's not his fault? You can't have it both ways. What's funny is that I found this tweet as well, backing up that he was blaming the shoot. Ricardo Giorado says, I don't think they're toxic, but you made many errors in your last video. It happens, but you could upload a version with the correct flow on how to build a PC. I have seen several professional YouTubers on the comments such as Science Studio or Jay's 2 Cents. They could help you. The issue isn't with my build process. I've built PCs before. The issue was the shoot. I was rushed, unwilling to do a retake of my build, so there are continuity errors. Okay, if there is one thing about that video that no one got mad about, it's the continuity errors. Literally no one cared about that. I'm as mad as anyone else. I took a look at his Twitter for PCs he built prior and wow. It's like, I get it, the BitPhoenix Prodigy isn't like known for being the best case for cable management, but my god, you didn't even try, man. The most insulting thing about this whole ordeal was the Verge's response where they tried to paint some of the biggest critics as racists. Nalai Patel, or @Reckless on Twitter, put out this word vomit that I will now summarize. The Verge basically apologized for putting out the video with minor factual errors. They also stated that they don't tolerate internet harassment campaigns and will not take any criticism that's in quote-unquote bad faith. They also tried to call the critics racist. I have seen quite a lot of these big Verge reaction videos, and I just gotta say, the most racist thing I had seen in any of them was a comparison to Steve Urkel, because he does look like Steve Urkel. So I mean, that I really don't get. The video was public, and people can call you out when you do something wrong without being labeled as racist, especially when you do things that wrong. You see, it may seem like the internet is harping on this mistake from 2 years ago, but when you say you did nothing wrong and start mocking people and copyright striking people for calling you out, then proceed to go against your own statements and pin the blame on someone else, people are gonna keep clowning on you. The main problem with Stefan's PC isn't even that what he did made it not work, like he's trying to imply in these Twitch clips. The problem is that this is meant to be a guide for people who don't know anything about PCs, and it is completely riddled with misinformation, over-preparation, and things that can easily lead to people completely breaking a component of their shiny new PC. But there is hope for him. This recent tweet by him has the semblances of an apology, but it's not quite there yet. I'm not saying he absolutely needs to apologize, but I'm pretty sure that if he did, rather than giving it this nonchalant, I don't care attitude, I'm pretty sure his replies wouldn't be littered with stuff like this. Before I end the video, I want to give a shout out to Ponji Ninja. I saw Ponji Ninja's video on the exact same subject and thought, this is a really interesting topic, but he left out some information, so I thought, whatever. Credit to him for inspiring the idea though. The original video is in the cards. It is a lot more professional than mine. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Like it if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. Dox me if you really didn't. Subscribe if you like my content and want to see some more, and that's about it. Peace.